Scooby-Doo is a kids show, but this video is not necessarily suitable for children. Viewer discretion advised. Also, spoiler warning for both the Scooby-Doo project and the Blair Witch Project. Also, don't forget to stay tuned afterwards for channel update news. Hi guys, I'm Frog.
And I'm Possum. We're back at it.
Hey! Resurrecting our channel for Halloween.
Yes. Welcome to Scary Stories to Tell at Recess, where we expose and discuss any and all children's horror media that had us scared shitless as kids.
So for this episode, one-off special, whatever it's gonna be, allow me to just set the scene. The year was 1999, on a day just like today. What kind of day would that be, you might ask? A spooky little holiday called All Hallows Eve.
A spooky little number.
Are you familiar with it?
I sure am.
Okay. Oh my god. So you're a kid and imagine you're in the living room just like corralling the last of your Mojo Jojo costume into place before you head out for a long night of trick-or-treating with your pals. So you're just like watching a little TV while your mom's getting ready for you guys to head out. Naturally, you might turn to Cartoon Network, and when you do, your eye is instantly caught by something.
Did you go as Mojo Jojo?
I went as someone from the Powerpuff Girls. It wasn't one of the actual girls, obviously, but
Was it the devil guy?
It might have been.
Because that's the only acceptable answer.
Oh, I don't know if it was him or not, but did you?
Nope.
Okay.
Sure didn't.
Okay. I just chose that because I was thinking 90s stuff, you know, but I wasn't actually alive for the 90s, so if it seems a little out of touch, I'm sorry. I did my best. Anyways, your eye is caught by the haunting visage of Mystery Inc. Fred, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby in what appears to be a terrifying situation. I mean, you can tune in any week to watch Scooby-Doo and watch them face off against ghosts, pirates, ghouls, vampires, in all kinds of chilling locations, but this one feels different. Instead of the show's usual cheery nature, you see Fred inconsolably rocking himself with utter panic in his eyes. Witness Daphne with her dress torn, sprinting through an uncanny-looking forest, screaming at the top of her lungs. And you stick around watching clip by clip, waiting for an end, some kind of resolution to the episode and the events unfolding before you. But it never comes. Instead, the special ends with a grim, tragic fate for the mystery gang that will leave you haunted for years, even though it will never reach the airwaves ever again. So you might be stuck wondering as you lay awake at night, what the hell was that? And I'm here to tell you. The Scooby-Doo project was essentially Scooby-Doo's frankly disturbing and awesome parody of the Blair Witch Project from way back in 1999. It aired not as a regular episode but as a special, and it got to go a little crazier than normal because of that. And kind of fun fact about it, because I know that there's like a billion Blair Witch Project parodies at this point. It's been parodied more than almost any other horror movie, I'd say.
I agree, and there's always a comedic take, and of course this one is comedic, and I think it's what adds to the charm, but it's genuinely scary as well, which I think is something that most parodies fail to do. They go mostly for like an overwhelming air of comedy and forget about what really made the Blair Witch so scary.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're using all the same scares and everything, of course it's going to come off as a little flat, like we've seen it before, you know. But I think that there's a lot that sets this one apart from the rest, which we'll definitely see throughout the course of this. And fun fact, actually, the directors of the Blair Witch Project reached out to the directors of the Scooby-Doo project and openly said that this was their favorite of all the parodies that came out. And so I think that over the course you're gonna see why, but I definitely agree with them, and I just think that that's super cool. They kind of got the seal of approval from the actual creators.
Not to mention in a lot of reviews, like current reviews, most people are saying this is better than any of the parodies. Like that's just an overwhelming review that people tend to have about the Scooby-Doo project in relation to other parodies. So that's just really cool.
Yeah, and I think as cool as it is today, we have to go back and look at it from the perspective of how it was when it aired. So let's talk a little bit about that and how it aired, because I think that the story of it airing is just equally as weird, because it's the reason it's found footage. So let's get into the lore. When the Scooby-Doo project aired, they didn't just make it as a one-off special just for the sake of it. They actually made it to promote a Halloween Scooby-Doo marathon they put on that was like 3 different segments, 8 hours each, so it covered the whole 24 hours of Halloween, which I love things like that just really get into the spirit and squeeze Halloween for every second of its worth.
Yeah, I agree. I remember Cartoon Network when they used to have their whole daily Halloween marathon. My favorite personally was Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like, I'd come home and it'd be playing, and then I'd come home from trick-or-treating and it'd still be playing, and that was the last time I had any type of serotonin.
Yeah, that was a while ago, huh?
Yeah.
You okay, buddy?
Continue.
Okay, anyways, childhood memories. So the Scooby-Doo project was one such type of those marathons, and the Scooby-Doo project itself aired not as an episode within this special, but as little segments that were just sprinkled into the commercial breaks to keep kids watching. And then they collected all of those little segments and aired the special as like one full episode just at the very end. Originally, it wasn't even supposed to be aired as a special at the very end. It was supposed to just be like little commercial breaks. Again, that's all that they tasked the directors of doing, but the directors were like, no, we're gonna take it a step further and have them all connect into this big Scooby-Doo ARG, which I think is so baller of them. But I'm glad they aired it as a special at the end, because if I had been a kid watching this in 1999, there's no way I would have pieced together all these little things from the commercial breaks.
Not at all. I would have missed so much because, you know, it's Halloween night and you're out doing stuff. If you see them going missing and then you just never hear of them again, that's just chilling.
I
it just
know.
ruins your Halloween night. Like, your favorite cartoon characters are just gone.
Mm-hmm. You watch the special as like one full thing nowadays on YouTube or Vimeo, and you can kind of see like, oh, like this is what's happening, this is the storyline that they're going through right now. But if you're just tuning in and seeing the scene where like Daphne is running through the woods and is like scared out of her mind, and then your mom's like, okay, come on, let's go. You're just gonna be like, what was that?
And there's no way to explain it to your parents. You just say, hey, the gang just died.
Yeah.
And they're like, get your bag, let's leave.
And meanwhile, there's like an actual sheriff on TV being like, yep, they're dead. Go home, kids. Good as it is that they did air this whole special at the end, I also think maybe I would be a little bit disappointed, because think of it this way. If you were like a diehard Scooby-Doo fan back in the day, or maybe you were just a kid with nothing else better to do on Halloween, and you stayed up, watched as much as you could of the special, and you actually were following the story, you were piecing it all together through the course of this whole day, and then you just pass out from sleep deprivation at the end of the night, and then you go to school the next day and you're like, you guys, you're not gonna believe what I saw last night on TV. And they're like, oh no, we saw it like after we came home from trick-or-treating. They showed the whole thing at the end. I would have been like, oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure who actually stayed to watch the whole thing in its entirety. Like, it seems pretty impossible to do. But if I had been one of those kids who did stay, or like even those adults who are watching with their kid, watching it unfold, it is nice to have that refresher at the end and be like, was it as bad as I remember? And you watch it and it's like, yeah, it was even worse than I remember, actually.
Yeah. It's like a creepy, uncanny greatest hits collection. And I love that. But I think also it would be equally creepy if you did, you know, watch it, or even just a part of it. And then again, you are a kid, you come to school the next day and you're like, hey, did you guys see that thing on TV last night? And your friends are like, what are you talking about, man? And you're like, I think I saw like Shaggy get killed. And they're like, what are you talking about? I think you just like went a little too hard on the pixie sticks, man. And like, you can't prove it because again, they never aired it again. It's not like they had it in their regular show times or anything, because again, this was in the commercial breaks. You can't even search for it as a regular episode. So there's no way to prove you actually saw this stuff. They might gaslight you.
They made a very slight reference to it later on, but other than that, there's really no proof.
Yeah, it never came out on DVD. It never came out on any type of official release. I personally had to go and download it from the director Larry Morris's Vimeo account. Bless him for uploading it 20 years after it came out. now, but that's about 20 years too late for some of the kids who may have watched it, like, when it aired. A lot of people, by the way, as for it never airing, speculate that it never got a formal release because it was so scary and, like, kids just couldn't handle it. I think that that's all fun, but the more likely reason is just why would they air a 19-minute low-budget Halloween special that's broken up into, like, 20 incongruent parts when they could just air a normal episode of Scooby-Doo instead. I don't think that it made sense for them to air it again after Halloween, but I love how it enhances the lore of the special itself.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have lost its charm had they prepared it for the whole month of October and aired it sporadically throughout the month. I like that it was just one night and that's all people got.
Yeah, it's pretty much only on YouTube and Vimeo now, like I said, which makes it hard to state in exact numbers how actually popular or well-known this thing is. So maybe 90% of you out there listening have heard of it, have seen it, but maybe only like 10% of you have. And I'm talking to all of you right now. As far as popularity, I mean, the best gauge I have is that I think the most viewed YouTube video I found of it was like 800k views, and that's as of today, and it's been out for years at that point on YouTube, so that's not a ton.
Yeah, and then a lot of the comments on that actual video are just people being like, oh, so this wasn't a fever dream I had, this actually happened.
Yeah. And so I'd call it, at least to me, certified lost footage because of the more than a good decade it was just off the grid. And this doesn't prove anything, but I was listening to an interview with one of the directors, it was Larry Morris again, when asked, what do you remember from starting this project, or like how this project came about, and he just said, I don't remember pitching the idea, I just remember making it, and this thing was a fever dream for everyone involved, is what I'm trying to say.
I love that. That's how the best projects are made.
That's how I feel about all of our previous videos.
I agree. I feel like that's how it is with most art that people make. Like most things people create, you revisit it a few years later and you're like, I've never seen this.
Wild how that happens. And then you make amazing stuff like this and it turns out perfectly.
Not to compare any of my art to this cinematic piece of media.
Larry Morris, don't come at me.
No,
Casper
nothing
Kelly,
compares
Steve
to
Patrick.
the Scooby-Doo project. I'm being so serious about that.
So we're going to get into the recap of the full special here in a second, but I did want to bring up a few bits of additional context you should know when you're watching this, because when you're watching it, you're probably going to think, I mean, it's creepy and it's lo-fi, but it looks like not up to the same par as most Scooby-Doo episodes, and so I'm just gonna let you know point blank, they had a really tight budget for this thing. Again, it was supposed to just be commercials. Instead, they decided to pool all their resources for all these commercials and just make this instead. It didn't get a lot of resources, so a lot of animations are reused, and the voice actors recorded all their lines through a phone because they were out filming Scooby-Doo Zombie Island at the time in LA.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
Another Halloween classic. And according to the directors, the crew was only 2 to 3 people at a time, and I think this is the most surprising thing for me. They had to start writing this before the movie even came out. Like, before the Blair Witch Project even came out, one of the directors saw the trailer for it and he said, this is awesome. And they all were like, yeah, that looks really cool. And then they were all like, we should do that. Let's just do that. And then the crew went and saw the movie, The Blair Witch Project, together in theaters when it came out. And then they just went into a writing frenzy. And like a month later, it was in animation. Not even a month later, because it was in August.
I think that's so awesome.
That's so cool. It's like such quick turnaround time, and I love how they had like already had to deliver a proof of concept and pitch the idea and get it approved before the movie had even come out, so they didn't even know what plot they were going to be following yet. They were just like, yep, we'll be fine with this. They're like,
they get lost. They die maybe, but it'll work.
It could have been awful, because again, this is supposed to be for kids. What if the whole movie had just been like awful and brutal? They would have been like, well, oops. Kids would have gotten even more traumatized. And then aired it anyways. Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into the recap of the special. Possum, take it away.
The Scooby-Doo project begins with a black screen with only the sound of crickets to be heard in the background. On the black screen reads,
in the fall of 1999, 4 teenage sleuths and their Great Dane got lost in the woods while in search of a mystery. This is their story.
Within a few seconds, you begin to hear the sounds of footsteps running, but this sound is immediately overpowered by the sound of Shaggy breathing heavily as he tries to run away from whatever spooked him. He's talking to himself, saying that he's sick of the gang splitting up since nothing good ever comes of it, and complains about always being stuck with Velma. He asks why Freddy and Daphne are always sneaking off together, a subtle joke placed in there for more mature audiences. Wink, wink.
Me? I didn't even get that one until you explained it.
No, yeah, I think a lot of people are bringing it up, saying they're finally mentioning the awkwardness that more mature audiences have to go when they're like, oh, those two are sneaking off, I wonder why.
Yeah. I was just taken aback by the creepy woods.
The screen then flashes the title, The Scooby-Doo Project, with a stick figure-esque drawing of a dog meant to resemble Scooby-Doo. As chilling music plays in the background, we finally get to see the first animation, which is of Shaggy holding the camera up to his face, as he tells the viewers he's so hungry, leaving us wondering when the last time he had a meal was.
I'm so hungry!
Is that funny?
I don't know. Well, because knowing Shaggy was probably like 2 hours ago.
No, they were starving. They were trying to tell those kids, your favorite characters are starving in the woods.
I would have laughed.
Okay.
Maybe that's inappropriate. I would have thought, that's Shaggy, back at it again.
The next clip begins with the cinematic view of someone walking through tall grass. A woman's voice announces,
"You're watching Cartoon Network."
And the scene fades to black. As chilling as that was, the next clip shows images that haunt me to this day. It's of the iconic Mystery Machine with its doors open in the middle of the woods at night. There's something so eerie about the Mystery Machine, a bright and colorful staple of childhood cartoon in real-life woods. In the same clip, there's a voiceover by local authorities who said they found a duffel bag in the middle of the woods containing 24 hours of Scooby-Doo episodes. A subtle, shameless self-promotion, as they should, in the middle of the footage, which I just think is so charming, honestly.
I love it. But I mean, you have to remember these first ones were ones that were aired ahead of the special to promote the special.
Yeah, this isn't so much plot. We're not into the plot yet. It's more really heavily promo so far.
These are all like things that they didn't show when they were airing it on Halloween, but like in October, the weeks prior.
We finally get to put a face to the deputies who are in charge of finding out what happens in those woods and what happened to the gang. One of the police deputies begin to take questions from the public about where the kids could be, but he decides to decline all questions and walks off, leaving us with more questions than before.
Okay, at this point, when I was watching it for the first time, I was so sure he had killed them and he was like the guy hiding as the monster or whatever, because of how he just like, they show him in like slow-mo black and white walking off. I was like,
they
that guy
had sinister looks on their faces.
He has blood on his hand. Great Dane blood. All over. Can I say that without getting demonetized? He did it. That's my point.
After this, we are taken back to how all of this began.
This is the start of the clips that directly aired on Halloween night. This is no longer the promo. This is the actual meat of it, so strap in.
Velma is videotaping herself and the gang. It's daytime and they're parked in front of a garage just about ready to take off. I should mention that the gang is all animated, very much 2D, but everything else is real-life footage, including the Mystery Machine. Shaggy seems to be packing his things into the back of the van until Velma exposes his real name, Norville. The rest of the clip is the gang laughing at Shaggy's real name.
Because that's the thing you want to be found doing right before your body and the abandoned van are discovered, bullying your friends.
Yeah, they expose his whole government name, and it's gonna come in handy for the clips when, you know, you need to ID him.
They just dox and berate him, and then they
give his mother's maiden name. By the beginning of the next clip, the audience can see that it's now nighttime, and telling by the ambient sound, the gang is in the woods. Shaggy shows off his box of Scooby snacks to the camera. It's a rather short clip, but it serves the purpose of implying that the Scooby snacks will play a big role throughout all of this. And boy, do they.
Oh ho ho, foreshadowing.
We are once again shown recurring footage of the gang's van out in the woods with its doors open. It looks as if the gang had left the van in a hurry, and we are left to wonder who or what made the gang leave their van in the middle of nowhere. The next piece of footage is a series of interviews which Velma conducts on the townspeople. What's interesting about this, and the scenes with the local authorities, is that, unlike the gang, these characters aren't animated. These are recordings of real human actors, and I feel like the addition of adult actors was such a great touch to adding to the uncanny horror of the Scooby-Doo project. Although us older audiences find their acting humorous and comically bad, To a child, having seen adults testifying to seeing monstrous creatures in the woods may have led them to believe that this wasn't just a Halloween skit, but something that may have actually truly happened.
I want to add in here real fast, again, through interviews with the directors, I did learn who all of these people are, and
please enlighten us.
Yeah, you can probably tell they're not actors, which is fine. I think it enhances it, if anything. First guy, he owns a barbecue shack. The crew went there before they filmed, and they said, hey, you want to be in this thing? And then they left to film. So many props for him for just being down for anything. The second guy, that is a crew member's dad's friend, a computer programmer. Lady in red, that is Casper Kelly, one of the directors, his mother. Yeah, none of them were officially hired for this. I don't even know if they were paid, but I would call that a labor of love.
Yeah, but it also sucks because Cartoon Network had money at the time.
Yeah, but
they
it didn't go
given
to this.
like $10 or something.
The barbecue guy, like, they could have, I don't know, plugged his barbecue shop in the special
background.
Yeah.
And then everyone would have gone there.
Yeah, but
he probably left all of his customers hanging, being like, I have to go out back real quick, sorry.
He, like, just closes shop so frantically. He's like, there's somewhere I have to be, everyone get out.
I do like that they use inexperienced actors because that is very true to the actual Blair Witch Project. You know, when they're filming people in the town, you can obviously tell those people aren't actors, and that just made the film feel so authentic. It's why it sparked such commotion when it aired and it was released in theaters, and people were actually reaching out to the actresses' parents, to the actors' parents.
Did anyone reach out to, like, Casper Kelly's mom for this one?
I hope so. They did receive a lot of complaints, so maybe in one of those complaints they're like, are you okay?
That old lady was weird.
Going back to the story, we see a continuation of Velma's interviews, except that unlike the rest of the interviewed townsfolk who'd answer her questions, this one gets up in her face. She frantically tells the kids to not go near the woods. The scene cuts to Shaggy riding in the passenger seat of the van, making fun of the old woman's teeth, which, first of all, very rude, because dental care is expensive.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't have dental insurance, Norville.
Yeah, it's America.
Oh, but also I did want to add, this lady was a paid actor. She's like the only one that they got for these interviews. That building behind her is literally where they casted her, and then director Casper Kelly had to go up and paint her teeth to make that joke about how ugly her teeth are.
Paint it with what?
Very funny. I don't know. They
teeth
didn't say.
paint?
Tooth paint.
Tooth paint.
Industrial grade tooth paint. You know.
Wait, so she was an actor? An actress?
Yes, she was an actress.
Was she in?
I don't know.
She nominated for anything?
Go find her IMDb
Okay.
page. I would love to have that. Apparently, though, she was really good because they asked her to do another take, which apparently came out so scary that they kept it. They had it in the original cut, but when they showed it to, like, the bigwigs at Cartoon Network, they were like, you can't air that. That's too much. And they were like, oh. So they toned it down, which I would love to see what the
I would
scarier
give
version
to see
was.
that.
Oh, I'm dying to.
They need to do a version, an updated version for their adult, for all of the now grown up viewers, because I'd love to see that. She stole my heart. The scene that follows is my favorite, a black and white slow-mo of local authorities lifting up pieces of evidence, aka a box of Scooby snacks, and that's it. This was only about a second long and is unironically one of my favorite pieces of media ever.
Very artistic take.
I love found footage, and this hits it all.
Just a 1 second pointless clip. That is the epitome of found footage.
Such a film bro.
You're
like 1 piece, 1 second of the Scooby-Doo project, and I could write a whole thesis about it. I'm ready to.
Okay, go ahead.
As they enter the woods, Shaggy makes a very meta comment where he notices that these woods don't look like their regular woods, since these woods aren't animated. Nobody pays any mind to Shaggy's concerns, and Fred assures them that it'll be fun. He reminds the gang he wants to be the one to pull off the culprit's mask before they walk away from the van. They film one last shot of their van and say goodbye to it.
I think that Fred's defense is so funny, because as the episode goes on, you're gonna see that Fred gets absolutely delusional and thinks they're still living in, like, a cartoon world. But, like, imagine you're driving with your friend and they're like, dude, I feel like we're in a different dimension right now. Like, everything looks different and off and strange, and you're just like, come on, it'll be fun.
They're
and
like,
that's
oh
all you
god,
have to say.
Norville's fucking high again.
Maybe that's what they think. I love it. Oh, and a quick note that everything you saw previously, all of those clips were filmed in Toronto, Canada. Everything you're gonna see from here on out was filmed in Georgia, specifically in the woods right outside Turner Studios where this was animated. Maybe it takes me out of it a little bit, but I thought it was pretty fun to know that when they're all romping through the woods and being like, we're so lost, like it's just steps away from big city in Georgia.
So shout out to our Georgian viewers and to all Canadians in general.
All of y'all.
You guys get to rep the Scooby-Doo project. The gang doesn't reunite with their van as we're shown footage of the mystery machine surrounded by police tape. For the record, the people who recorded this, like we said, had to fly up to Canada where this van was doing a promotional tour, and they recorded this footage within a day. So I'm assuming the hassle of having to fly up to Canada, use the promotional tour van real quick, is the reason why they use this footage so consistently. They're like, we did not go through all that just to use it in one scene.
Yeah.
With that aside, there's the voice of what sounds like a news reporter taped over the footage, which tells us the teenagers have been missing for days.
Parties have spent several days searching the woods and found hundreds.
After some more slow-mo footage of local sheriffs looking over Scooby snacks, Fred explains they'll be camping by the cemetery to learn about the curse.
Ooh.
Shaggy is notably stressed at the idea of sleeping next to gravestones, which, very valid, Shaggy. I don't know why your friends make you do this. Maybe find a new friend group.
Really?
They endanger you and your dog constantly.
And your mental health.
But that's none of my business.
It's neither here nor there.
No, it is not.
Move on.
We finally begin to learn about the backstory of the curse. Velma is filmed either by Daphne or Fred, saying that the curse goes back all the way to 1773. But before we can hear more, Shaggy and Scooby begin chanting over her as they are too scared to listen to the story. And just a side note, I tried looking into whether this year had any significance. I thought they had actually chosen it from the Blair Witch lore, but no, this date is just random. But I will say that according to the Blair Witch lore, it is only 12 years prior to when the Blair Witch herself was banished from the town of Blair. So even that was pretty spot on, which is really cool of them.
My theory about it is maybe, because again, the movie, they had only just gone and seen it when they wrote this, but it wasn't like on DVD or anything yet. Maybe they like saw it and they were in the writer's room and they were like, we should have the dates match up. And then they were like, wait, what was the year again? And they're like, 1770 something. And they just kind of like got close, but not quite there.
Yeah, they're like,
I can't
that
fault
sounds
them.
like a year where a witch would be banished.
Sounds
It gives
about
the vibe,
right.
yeah. So back to the story, or the footage, there's more slow-mo shots, and then we're back in the woods. Velma holds the camera while Daphne walks in front of her. The two have a conversation about who they suspect might be the culprit trying to scare them. Daphne says she thinks it's probably a farmer who wants them off their land, which is honestly a pretty good bet, and would be pretty logical.
Yeah, I mean, it matches up with every other episode of Scooby-Doo, so.
Daphne and Velma have a back and forth where Daphne questions why she had to get up in that old woman's face, to which Velma says she just wanted a visual record of their findings. They are interrupted by Shaggy, who tells Velma they better not be sleeping in the woods again, because the gravestones he'd slept on the night before really did a number on his back. Velma turns the camera to Fred, who also tells her to put the camera down and help pitch the tent. One singular tent, that is. 4 teenagers and their big old dog have to pack into one tent together, and none of them are happy about it, despite it still being light out when Fred tells the gang to set up the tent. The next scene is during nighttime, and there seems to have been little to no work done on getting the tent pitched, as it just lays flat on the ground. Velma essentially vlogs the pitching of the tent in case she happens to catch footage of whoever has been scaring them. And this notably angers Fred, who snaps at her, telling her that pitching a tent is easier when she uses both hands. She tells him she doesn't want to miss anything, to which the whole gang yells at her to shut off the camera. She sighs, but obliges.
Velma was the original I am the main character influencer who will not put her camera down in the woods.
She's the first vlogger.
Yeah, she originated
No
this.
one vlogged like her in 1999. She did it before everyone.
This is really innovative stuff we're seeing right here. This is seminal work.
The vlog squad could never... I don't know who that is, actually. I don't really watch much vloggers. But if you guys watch vloggers, just know that Velma was ahead of all of them. We're then shown how uncomfortable the gang is with sleeping in the same tent together. Daphne complains about food crumbs being left behind, most likely by Shaggy or Scooby. Fred complains about how someone is laying on his sleeping bag, which opens a whole can of worms because apparently Shaggy had been sleeping with a rock as a blanket, and Scooby had nothing. We then get to see what more of their camping situation is like, which is a detail I really love. I think it's one that's looked over because the Scooby-Doo project is very fast-paced, but I really like that Cartoon Network inadvertently let kids look into what a sleepover might be like with their favorite characters, and I know it's overlooked because the ambiance is so scary. It's a very scary clip if you're a child watching this, but looking at it as an adult, it's like, oh, this is what they'd be like if they were camping, and I think it's very wholesome, and it's a little silver lining.
I really like it, and I think that it goes back to also why this is such a good parody of the Blair Witch Project, for many reasons of course, but also because they do have some moments still where it's supposed to be almost like genuine, you know, like genuinely funny or genuinely like lighthearted, normal interactions the characters would have, which in most parodies you're not going to find a lot of people doing that. It's mostly just going to be like dunking on the Blair Witch Project or trying to copy it or whatever, and so I like that they did put their own little spin on things.
I agree, and the reason it's so hard-hitting is because they are lovable characters, you know, versus parodies where it's just random actors. These are some of the cartoon characters that you grew up with and that you have grown to love, and they're in a very dangerous situation, which is why it's so anxiety-inducing for a child watching, but at the same time, when you get little moments like this, it's very endearing, because it's like, oh, those are my friends. So moving on, Shaggy tells Scooby what snacks he'd take with him to the moon, but Scooby-Doo is already asleep. Velma tries to tell a ghost story, but it turns out to just be a retelling of one of their adventures, which is another cute detail I really enjoy. So while this was a really fun, wholesome moment in the Scooby-Doo project, the mood changes quickly, and Velma wakes up the gang who'd fallen asleep after her vampire story, telling them that she'd heard noises outside of the tent. In one of the creepier moments of the Scooby-Doo project, we see that someone or something had opened up the tent while they'd all been asleep. Don't worry though, it was just Scooby who'd snuck out to eat Scooby snacks. However, the build-up to this was terrifying in my opinion, because imagine being a teenager lost in the woods and you think someone snuck up to your campsite and rummaged through your belongings while you slept. That's a pretty terrifying concept to me as an adult, so I can't imagine what the kids watching this were thinking.
I mean, yeah, that's like a scary thing they pulled straight from the Blair Witch Project. It's just happening to the Mystery Gang now, but that's an exact thing that happened there too, and it's scary for a reason, even to me.
The next scene isn't meant to be scary, but it's probably the most chilling art throughout the whole special. It's supposed to be of Daphne and Fred's silhouettes as they shuffle around in the tent after realizing something's outside. This is the uncanniness that we're talking about. This is the epitome of it. They look like mouthless shadow people, sleep paralysis demon. I've recently learned about the Hat Man. This is probably what that looks like.
Yeah, to anyone else that watches Watcher, we just learned about the Hat Man, and I think that I think we found him. Like, this is footage.
Leave Hat Man discourse below. Also, when Daphne wakes up Fred is notably frazzled and stuttering, calling Daphne's name, and in the end, in a very audibly upset voice, he says, "Oh, it was just a dream," implying he'd been having a certain type of dream about Daphne.
Fred! Scooby's
Come on,
supposed to be the dog here.
In one of the most comically chilling scenes, while the gang is scared out of their mind inside of their tent, a distant voice is heard from the woods which yells,
Puppy power!
The gang shrieks and runs out of the tent and into the woods. It's Scrappy-Doo. He's just there.
Fun fact about this part, this is director Larry Morris's favorite part when Scrappy shows up, and I'll just insert the clip of what he says when he watches it back for the first time in like 20 years.
Funny.
That's utterly frightening.
Yeah.
No wonder kids were going crazy. Freaking out.
I love Scrappy. I don't know how you feel about Scrappy, but
I hate that.
Okay.
I hate that puppy.
The two most polarizing opinions. I like
No,
Scrappy.
I don't actually hate him, but Scrappy hate is what got me into the Scooby-Doo project,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I will explain that later.
More on that later.
So stay tuned. The gang is descending into madness. Daphne screeching about her ripped stockings as you can hear Scrappy-Doo yell once again, this time calling out for his Uncle Scoob.
I think I hear it again. Uncle Scooby! Uncle Scooby! Zoinks!
Fred instructs the gang to turn off their flashlights, which they do, and once again are submerged in darkness. You can still hear Scrappy off in the distance screaming. Imagine you're a kid and you turn on the Scooby-Doo Halloween marathon before heading out to trick-or-treat, and you just hear Scrappy yelling, and your favorite cartoon characters running frantically away from it.
In the dark.
It's just inexplicable. When the gang deems it safe to turn on their flashlights again, they are met with the sight of Scrappy-Doo mere inches away from them. They scream out in terror. In the next clip, the gang is back in their tent, and something is right outside. But this time, it isn't Scrappy. It's something growling angrily while seemingly hitting their tent. Daphne tries to persuade Shaggy and Scooby to go check it out for some Scooby snacks, but they decline. The shot cuts away to Shaggy and Scooby walking through the cemetery, talking about how they'd rather be eating pizza at home. They once again hear the same screeching that had been heard right outside of their tent. It's a pretty eerie sound, only amplified by the video footage of the gravestones behind them. Shaggy wonders if Fred or if the rest of the gang is pranking them, but then see a long-limbed zombie running through the cemetery. He and Scooby run away as fast as they can.
Maybe this is where that original promo came from, like the very first one we saw. Shaggy running by himself. I know we said this earlier, but Shaggy, get better friends, man. If like you're going through all this just to be like, maybe it's just my friends pranking me in a really mean-spirited way.
So the gang's all screaming out Scooby-Doo's name as they believe they lost him. Shaggy screams out the iconic line,
Scooby-Doo! Where are you? Over here! Oh.
as he's only been standing a few feet away from them the whole time. The next morning, Velma finds that somebody's left a strange pile of Scooby snacks right outside of their tent, a reference to the Blair Witch having left piles of rocks outside of the tent of the missing campers in the original movie. Shaggy is too scared to eat them as he thinks they're cursed Scooby snacks and tells Scooby he can have them. Scooby immediately agrees and eats a handful of them without hesitation, making Shaggy realize that Scooby had been the one to place them there himself in order to eat the whole pile without having to share.
And I'm just gonna insert the clip in here, but those are real dog treats. They released like a making of featurette with some of the like animation stripped away so you can see the live action footage, and you can see the director's hand just reach out and on cue paw at the pile of dog treats every few seconds, and I think it's hilarious. That's dedication to your art right there.
I feel like this is the only valid time to say I was born in the wrong generation, because I should have been born to be the hand pawing at the haunted Scooby snacks. Like, there is nothing more I want in my life. Like, I don't really have life goals right now. That's the one I'm setting for myself.
They say no one wants to work anymore. Well, I do want to work as the Scooby snack pawer person on set.
Dream job right there. The gang keeps walking through the woods, still notably lost. Daphne mentions that her shoes are killing her, to which Velma asks,
"Well, is it our fault you wore high heels on a hiking trip?"
Daphne doesn't even stutter as she flips her hair over her shoulder, looks Velma in the eyes, and replies,
"At least I try to look feminine."
Velma silently stares in disbelief. She's lost this war.
I love that part. If I have to pick a favorite part, this might be it. But I'd like to point out they literally slowed down the footage so that Velma's staring would last longer. They were just obsessed with the timing of that, and I think literally slow-moing it down makes it so funny.
Their comedic timing is so good in this.
Yeah.
That's just, it's incredible. It's refreshing.
Their minds.
Shaggy takes the map from Velma, fed up with walking through the woods for several days. The map turns out to be a cartoonish map with only a dotted line leading them to the mystery machine, and side tangent, but I love when cartoons include ridiculously simplistic maps. I think it is one of the great joys of life.
I love the useless compass they have with no directions on it.
The cardinal points with none of the cardinal directions printed on it.
Big tree. It's
big
perfect.
X.
The mystery machine's facing the wrong way.
It's simple, and life should be as simple as cartoon maps.
And you can quote us on that.
The gang reaches what Fred thinks is a clue, but it's actually their own footprints. It settles in that this whole time they've just been walking in a big circle. We move on to a far distant shot of Velma and Fred fighting over who has the map. Velma insists that Fred had it last, whereas Fred claims he'd given it to Velma. The camera pans over to Shaggy, who admits he and Scooby ate the map with Tabasco. I love Tabasco, so great choice. I don't know why they think it's the funniest shit to ever happen.
I love you, Shaggy. Never change.
Can dogs have hot sauce? Or did only Shaggy eat it?
Well, can dogs sleep on gravestones in the woods?
Yes. I mean,
Well, yeah.
Technically speaking, yeah. They
Well,
wouldn't have a problem.
They can also technically eat chocolate, but they shouldn't.
Do you give your dogs chocolate?
No, of course not. I'm just saying, like, Scooby's got a lot to worry about health-wise right now.
Fred is then seen sitting by a gravestone, rocking himself and trying to reassure himself that everything is okay and that he'll remain calm. He looks disheveled and has even grown stubble from how long they've been in the woods. Fred tells the gang he's noticed something. In his very meta commentary, he tells the gang he's realized they've been out in the woods for 7 days. He reminisces on how the gang typically finds a mystery and are able to solve it that very night, in approximately 20 minutes. He misses the simplicity of it all. As the night progresses, Shaggy gets more agitated and says,
Zoinks! We're never gonna get out of here!
Velma loses her shit and says,
Zoinks? That's all you have to say, zoinks? What the heck does that mean anyway?
and Shaggy then replies with,
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you want me to say? Shankies?
Fred? Daphne? What are you laughing at?
He's got a point, Velma.
Jinkies is a word. Stop laughing.
Shankies! I think we're royally zoinked. Is that better?
Stop laughing.
This makes the rest of the gang laugh, because the Scooby-Doo project is essentially a Velma roast.
I feel like it's essentially a Shaggy roast, but then Shaggy gets all this frustration pent up, and then he just snaps, and this is him snapping, and then he turns it all on Velma because she's that
Who exposed his name at the beginning.
First of all, but then also the one who gets the most flack besides him. So she's like the obvious target. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is their hierarchy is falling apart like a careful castle of cards.
And who else are they gonna bully? The dog? No, it's gotta be Velma, the nerd. You go to the nerd next.
He's gonna, if there were a locker around, shove her in it. If there were books in her hand, knock him out.
So back to our beautiful plot. We once again see a pile of Scooby snacks outside of the gang's tent. Shaggy and Scoobert, which is his real name. I don't know why I'm adding his government name, but
didn't we just say we have a problem with them doxing
I do,
each
but
other?
I can change my views on things because I have a complex mind. They go to check out the Scooby snacks outside of their tent, but then are promptly heard screaming. When Daphne fearfully asks what they found, they tell her that the Scooby snacks have gone stale. Velma fucks up, absolutely fucks up, and loses her glasses.
So quick, okay.
Wait up, guys. I lost my glasses.
Here we go again.
Velma, for crying out loud!
They note that she's always losing her glasses and is never able to help them look for them. Fred is upset that they have to do all of the work.
My favorite Fred quote incoming.
A glasses strap? How many times have we told you? A glasses strap!
Velma wanders off blindly and the gang has to go look for her. She's a menace, honestly.
Now you're getting it on the Velma.
I understand it. This is the point where my mind has been
Oh
turned.
my God. I feel like I'm watching you descend into madness.
I am in the Scooby-Doo project universe.
You can't see this, but Possum's like rubbing his hands together maniacally every time he reads now.
That's my anxiety tick.
Oh, sorry.
Damn, okay. Well, I love you.
I love you. Keep all that in.
The next clip is a scene between Daphne and Velma. Daphne is once again annoyed that she hasn't been able to keep up with her appearance and is frustrated that her nails haven't been painted in days. Velma shushes her as she hears footsteps nearby. She hears the shriek again and Daphne books it, leaving Velma behind, which, so much for girl bossing.
Oh.
I guess she is. That's very girl boss of her.
Daphne is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a big fan of Daphne, but she does seem very much like a gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss.
A little, but I love
sort
her.
of gal. She's got good vibes. She's just a little crazy.
The next scene shows Daphne and Fred distressed that they've ruined or lost pieces of their clothing. Having followed the noises they'd been hearing in the woods, the gang walk up to a scary house in the middle of the forest. Velma enters, and Shaggy roasts her for going into a dark house in the middle of the night.
Popping in real fast about this house. So it's located in Smyrna, Georgia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm very sorry if I'm not. It's called the Rough House. First of all, that's a very appropriate name. It's R-U-F-F, so but it was built in the mid-1800s, and it was a Civil War hospital for Union soldiers. That cemetery that we saw earlier, you know, the one that Shaggy slept on, that is also full of Union soldiers. This isn't part of just the Scooby-Doo project lore. This is real, because it was Larry Morris's childhood home, and now he like is friends with the current owners, so they got to use it for free, which is how they got such a cool set. Yeah, that's what this place is.
That's wonderful. wonderful news to hear.
Wonderful news.
I mean, going off of that, the project that was being worked on, with Scooby-Doo, at the time that this was being filmed was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, like we've mentioned. And that movie has different plots in it. There's different storylines throughout that movie, but one of them is the zombies of both Union and Confederate soldiers. So it's cool that there was a meshing of those.
Everything ties together, one big circle, like a Scooby snack.
The house is dark, and right beside the stairs is a radio. Fred turns it on, and music begins to play. Shaggy groans and makes another meta comment, noting that they always get chased when there's music playing in the background. Sure enough, the zombie-like creature from before is right behind them, ready to chase them. They run up the stairs and have a classic Scooby-Doo chase through the hallway doors.
And this, what you're seeing right here, is the exact reason that they used the house, besides the fact that it was free, which is a big plus. Larry Morris remembered this specific hallway and was like, this would be perfect for the chase scene, and I love it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's really nice too. I don't know if anyone watches Supernatural. I haven't caught up with it in years, but a few years ago they did a Scooby-Doo remake, or a Scooby-Doo inspired. I don't really remember what it was. You guys can correct me in the comments. And they also do the iconic chase through like the hallways and corridors, and it's just so good that they keep all of the elements of the actual show into this very condensed 19-minute project that they did.
Yeah, they check a lot of the boxes, and I really like it. One of my favorite parts of any Scooby-Doo episode is the cartoony chase scenes, because I love the crazy like sounds it makes and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? The like they do when they're running.
Yeah, I love the noises of like their feet, when they're gearing up to go.
So camp, iconic. I love it. Happy to see it portrayed here in this Civil War monument.
Can't believe the Union soldiers, the domino effect of Union, of like the Civil War to like the Scooby-Doo project being created. Also, another note about this scene is that it shows how accurate they stayed on script to the actual Blair Witch Project script. First, Velma is made to go upstairs, just like the protagonist Heather is in the movie, and right after that, she's forced to go downstairs. And I just think that's a really interesting detail. It shows how the creators of this project really looked into small details like that. It's just so good. Anyhow, down in the basement, we see Shaggy facing the corner of the wall, facing away from the camera, just like one of the most iconic scenes in the actual movie, the one that everyone remembers and that was pretty scared of. The monster comes up behind Velma, and the camera cuts to black.
So the part with Shaggy standing in the corner apparently still haunts Casper Kelly, one of the directors again, even 20 years after watching it, and I totally get it. I think it's definitely like one of the more standout parts of this whole thing, and I mean, it's one of the images that gets passed around the most from it, where people are like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I agree. That's the very first thing I ever saw of the Scooby-Doo project was a screenshot of that moment. So, and I mean, it's just an iconic moment, not just in this, but in the horror genre in general. Like, it's one of the most iconic scenes in horror.
And I'd like to reiterate just how lucky it was that they were even able to get this shot, because again, they had already chosen the concept of the Blair Witch Project. They had already known that they probably didn't have a lot of money to spend on getting a good house to film in, so they had to use what they had available, which was this, and it just happened to come with this creepy ass cellar that was perfect for it. That's just, like, the stars aligned to make this thing possible and what it came out to be, and I think it's so cool.
So as people who have already watched the Blair Witch Project know, the movie ends on the scene where the guy is facing the corner of the wall. But since this still had to be somewhat kid-friendly, there is a continuation. We see that the zombie monster had been tied up and is about to be unmasked. When Fred lifts up the mask, and remember that he's the one who wanted to lift the mask in the beginning, we see that the monster was just some guy. He wanted to have some Halloween fun and go around scaring people in a costume. This leaves Fred confused, because if this guy was only going around scaring people on Halloween, then why did he scare him in the cemetery the other night? He asks him, and the guy is visibly confused and truthfully tells them that he doesn't know what they're talking about. He wasn't in the cemetery the other night. The gang is confused, and as they wonder who could have been scaring them all along, they find that the real monster is crawling in through the window. They scream and run away, leaving the innocent man who'd been scaring kids on Halloween tied up and helpless.
I hate that part because they don't remark on it at all in the episode.
We don't see the gang again. Instead, we are shown a missing persons poster with all 4 teens and dog printed on it.
And do you notice something that is glaringly missing from here? The guy they unmasked. They left him like tied up there, And then he's not even on the missing poster. Like, did he escape or was he just, like, eaten?
Or was he a figment? What was
Ooh,
he? There's
hadn't
so
thought
many
that.
possibilities. But yeah, no, he's not mentioned, and I think that's a cool aspect they left in. I don't think it was meant to really be analyzed that much, but it is a creepy detail if you think about it.
What happened to him? I want to know. I'm just gonna assume he's dead or something, honestly. I'm just gonna have to assume the worst at this point. It's Halloween. It's spooky. Also, about that missing persons poster, director Larry Morris said that when he showed this whole special to his nephew, the part that he was most worried would scare him and like scar him for life was the missing poster at the very end, which I think is so funny that you go through this whole thing watching it with your nephew and it's not until the very like last 5 seconds you're like, ooh, maybe this was a little too much.
That's how you know you did good, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. They went all out on this, and I love it. And yeah, that's all of the promotional videos, all of the canon videos, I guess you could call it. So this was the last time that the Scooby-Doo project was mentioned, except for literally like a whole year later, they had a really short clip during the halftime show of something called Big Game Roadrunner versus Coyote, where Fred is asked about the events, and he says it was just another guy in a mask, and they went on to arrest it, and he tried to go and tell people about it afterwards, but they just said it was another stupid ripoff of the Blair Witch Project, which is great. Just the meta humor of meta humor.
The self-awareness.
So let's break out for a little discussion. So let's start with how you discovered this, because I am once again dying to hear your little Scrappy-Doo story. Go ahead.
Okay. So, although this is very unfortunate for my developing brain at the time, I was a Tumblr kid, and I was just chronically on Tumblr all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And while Tumblr.com did do irreversible damage to my psyche, it's also the reason I ended up finding the Scooby-Doo project, and that almost balances out.
You take some, you lose some.
So a few years ago, while I was scrolling on Tumblr, I guess I have to preface this by saying that the Tumblr algorithm was dead set on showing me anti-Scrappy-Doo propaganda, because sometimes Tumblr just shoves really weird niche crap into your face and you just gotta roll with it. So out of nowhere, people started dedicating Tumblr pages to hating on Scrappy-Doo, and they'd call him a thief and a scoundrel, a general menace to society. And one of these anti-Scrappy-Doo pages had reblogged some screenshots of the Scooby-Doo project, which at the time I thought were just really well-edited pictures, and I thought they were funny. But then as I scrolled through the notes of the post, I realized that it was full of people who were like, wait, this isn't an edit? I had to go scrolling through the notes, had to find the link, had to see for myself, and when I saw it, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, there's no way I'm watching what I'm watching right now. But it quickly became one of my favorite pieces of media, and ever since, I just started showing it to as many people as I could, because I couldn't be the only person that knew about it. You know, like, I needed real life people to discuss this with, and now I do.
And I literally did not believe you. But I think that the main problem was when you tried to tell me about it, I hadn't even seen the Blair Witch Project. You turned it on like immediately after, like not a minute after the credits of the Blair Witch Project started rolling, we were watching the Scooby-Doo project.
Yeah, because I mean, I love the Blair Witch Project. It's one of the films that I think horror fanatics should watch if they haven't watched it already. So I was like, we need to watch it. But I was more concerned with getting that out of the way so I could show you the Scooby-Doo project.
So I had to be properly primed, and it's like a whole hour-and-a-half long process of watching the original movie first, and then the, might I just say it, superior version, the Scooby-Doo project afterwards.
Agreed. So which one scared you more? I mean, I jump scared you with the actual movie.
You did, but I would say that the Scooby-Doo project probably scared me more, and I know that makes me sound like a little baby, but I'm scared of everything when it comes to horror movies, and that's why I love them.
You're scared of Regular Show.
Oh yeah, I'm scared of like...
You're scared of the little doll in Regular Show.
I'll put a picture of him here
His name's
just so you can
Percy.
see how ridiculous it is. My fears are irrational and out of hand.
Yeah.
So that's why I love the Scooby-Doo project too. It like strikes that perfect spot between, yeah, it's irrational for me to be afraid of it, but it's irrational it was made in the first place. So like I'm perfectly content with how that works out.
And yeah, I think one of the most charming things about the Scooby-Doo project, we've already touched on this, but it really does feel like lost media, because every time I scroll through hashtags, whether that be on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, you know, all the social media sites, it's always filled with people being like, first of all, what is this? They're just genuinely confused that this wasn't a fever dream they had as a child. And so it's still a pretty niche video that a lot of people are yet to see. And I think we should all just forward it as the chain email. Like, it should be the new scare chain email.
We need to bring back chain emails just for this and have it be like, if you don't forward this to 15 of your Gmail friends, then Scrappy is gonna show up and tickle your family or something.
Or set piles of Scooby snacks outside your door. I don't know why we're tickling family members, but yeah.
I don't know. Things are too scary for me. I'm just like, what's scary? Tickling? I don't know. So the next thing I want to talk about with the Scooby-Doo project is just why we are so obsessed with it as just like a piece of media, but also as horror media and children's media. And I think like the first thing is, for me, it like checks so many of the boxes of just great children's horror media. It's lost footage from one of the most popular kids cartoons of all time. And, you know, when something's like lost footage, the inaccessibility leads to like these rumors, which leads to infamy, and it's why we're talking about it now. And again, like, I would have gone absolutely insane if I had been one of those people who'd watched this when they were like 10 and then didn't see it again and wasn't able to prove it existed until my mid to late 20s when it showed up again on YouTube. That's insane lore to have, and I love it and I aspire for it.
They have what creepypastas want to have. Like, this is a real life creepypasta.
Yeah, it reads just like a creepypasta. I could totally see some edgy 14-year-old sitting down at their desk with a Monster Energy on like a Saturday night to write this stuff.
Yeah, munching on their hot Cheetos.
MCR blaring.
There's so much creepypasta just based on, Courage the Cowardly Dog, SpongeBob, or, you know, just these very harmless shows having a lost episode, but Scooby-Doo actually did it.
Yeah.
And they did it before creepypastas were popularized. So it's so cool that they set the creepypasta mood before creepypasta was a thing.
Yeah.
And that's iconic.
This is the blueprint for all of that. And yeah, it like takes one of the classic Scooby-Doo episodes and like puts this dark, unforgiving spin on it, and you can tell that they just took a lot of care and time to do this, making sure that they had things like the iconic chase scene, the goofy suggestions of how to deal with the monster, the unmasking, but all of them with some like grim reality tossed in there with it.
Yeah, even the Scooby snacks.
Yeah, I like it.
Which is something so mundane, like just the Scooby snacks, and they become a staple of the horror behind the Scooby-Doo project. It's just so well done.
And I think it just boils down to how it shows the passion of the directors, who they were in their 20s when they made this, which is impressive to me. They said that they were trying to parody the Blair Witch Project, but like, since that's such a, you know, it's like a more adult movie, they said that they felt a little unclear, unguided in what children would want out of it. So they were more writing it for themselves. And so I think that comes across in just how loving it is, you know? It's like it's such a good tribute to Scooby-Doo and what it is at the essence of it, this like massive iconic series. I think that it's just beautifully done with that, not to get too genuine or whatever. And kind of going off of that, again, I do think it's scary, and I think we should talk about that next, like why it's scary.
So I think the first thing that stands out to me as to why it scared me when I first watched it, or at least unsettled me, was definitely the uncanniness. And, you know, back to when we were talking about the Hat Man, those shots of Fred and Daphne in the tent in the pitch black, where you just get to see their eyeballs, and you see them as shadowy figures, and they're moving in really weirdly fluid motions. That's one of the parts where I'm like, wow, they really did not hold back with the horror. Like, they did not care about those kids.
Oh my god.
They said, fuck them kids.
No. I think that they're just you know, giving kids on Halloween night the horror they deserve. I'm not saying like scare the kids too bad, but I'm saying like they did a really good job of making it not like traumatizing, but still like really good. And yeah, definitely the found footage aspect of it and having like the backgrounds and everything and all the settings be live action was such a good choice. Even like the color scheme of how it goes black and white, and the colors are notably a lot more muted since it's supposed to be live action than they are in its normal cartoon setting. And like, you know, the woodland soundtrack and the bare bones animation, it's just all off-putting, you know? Not even just to kids, but like to me watching this for the first time, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think it's very jarring for kids, because if there were kids who were watching this that actually did get scared from shows such as Scooby-Doo or other Cartoon Network horror shows, which it was such a good time for Cartoon Network and horror, but when a cartoon scared you, you could go to your parents and they would say, oh, it's all animated, it's made up, you know, it's nothing to do with real life. Whereas this very much has to do with real life. It's pretty scary.
They showed like a real cemetery of Union soldiers and stuff, so you can't just be like, don't worry, none of them existed, because those are dead people.
Yeah, they incorporated, you know, real cemeteries, so they dealt with death, and they dealt with this very scary fear of minors being kidnapped, which, you know, it might be scarier to adults because they're like, oh, my kids are gonna go missing, but the idea of being lost in the woods is also just something so deeply unsettling to a child.
I think I would have been more scared of it as a child. My parents were my parents give me the kidnapping talk so often, I literally thought people were gonna pop out of a bush and like steal me at any moment. So when I saw them walking into the woods, if I had seen that as a kid, I would have been like, no, 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 and like just seeing the missing poster at the end, it's like my fears all confirmed. It's just too real. And that's without even touching on like how the characters themselves feel about it in the actual animation, because I mean, usually in Scooby-Doo, they all have a very goofy mood, you know? They have a very, like, can-do attitude towards the things that they're tasked with doing, again, for no pay. But in this one, like, Fred literally goes insane a few minutes in, and you get the sense that they're more at, like, the mercy of this creature and the woods for the first time, rather than the other way around, where you feel like, oh, they can solve it without even breaking a sweat. Like Fred says, it usually takes them 20 minutes, but at this one, you know, they're stuck. There's no clues, there's no leads to follow. They're just like out there. It's scary.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the biggest comforts of not the Scooby-Doo project, but of the regular Scooby-Doo shows and movies, that there's this formula that's followed where there's an obvious leader, there's the scaredy cats who still come out, you know, winning at the end, and the bad guy is always caught. And in this one, we didn't get any of that. If anything, everyone just kind of was removed from their role, and that was another thing that probably felt very, very strange to kids. They're like, oh, Fred, this guy who, you know, is the jock and he has all his shit together, is the one who's freaking out the most. He was the first one to break. And if Fred breaks, then how would I deal if I were in that situation? Like, I wouldn't even last.
I think it almost turns the whole hierarchy the Mystery Gang usually has on its head, because I don't know if anyone else like super noticed this, because it took me a couple times. But I think it's really interesting how they kind of show over the course of the whole thing Shaggy almost becoming like the reasonable one. And I mean, he's the one to first point out like, hey, this looks different, and he's always making all these meta comments and stuff, whereas Fred and Daphne and all them are still like, will you go out to the monster for a Scooby snack? And he's like, what are you talking about? No. And I think that just shows kind of how different everyone is, like you had said. Everyone's still acting the same and doing the things they would do in a normal episode, but Shaggy's the one who's doing things relevant to the situation and not just like, yeah, we'd do this any other time, because this isn't like every other time.
Yeah, like another thing I'd mentioned is that Shaggy is the one who is the first one to be bullied, essentially, with his name Norville, and he's very uncomfortable with that. And then as we progress, he just becomes very, I'd almost say standoffish, and he starts being snarky, which is something we don't really get to see of Shaggy's character. You know, he's very much the wimpy guy and the guy who gets the short end of the stick in most episodes. And in this one, he's straight up like, no, you guys, I'm eating your map, I'm gonna bully you. Just basically that whole thing Dr. Phil said on that one where he's like,
open the door or I'm gonna throw rocks through your windows, you dumb whore.
So Shaggy is sick and tired.
Shaggy is sick and tired of everyone's shit, and he's just gonna snap, and that's what this is. And then I guess we're just supposed to assume everything is forgiven and gone back to normal by the next episode, like regular episode, which just prolongs this cycle of psychological abuse Shaggy's going through, and it's too much. The implications, man. Another angle I'd like to look at this whole special from is just if you were like a kid who'd already seen the Blair Witch Project for some reason, because I know I've been saying it's, you know, more of a movie for adults, no kid's gonna be watching this, but obviously there were kids that watched it, you know, like I've been watching rated R movies since I was in like 4th grade.
Exactly.
Kids were gonna see it. Not every kid, but lots of kids were gonna see it. And if you were a kid who happened to see it in the few months since it had come out in theaters, and then you were to watch this, you're probably already, like, the scars are fresh there still. You're probably going to be having a little bit of flashbacks watching this and being like, oh my god. But honestly, they kind of did tone it down from the original even, because, I mean, I don't know exactly what the details of this are, but Larry Morris did reveal that there was an original script written that was, quote, way, way, way harsher than this version of the Scooby-Doo project that was actually made. So my theory to it is that one follows the Blair Witch Project a little bit more in like its spookiness, and Scooby-Doo a little bit less, and just went a little more over the top crazy. And I would give anything to be able to see that, and I really hope it includes the alternate cut of that old lady like getting all up in their face, because I need to see more of her acting prowess and just experience it. Please, Larry Morris, if you're watching this, just email me or something.
I feel like there's moments in the Scooby-Doo project where you can see that they wanted to take it a lot further, but really held back. Like, I think one of the scenes is the really scary scene where they first wake up and their tent is open, but it just ends up being Scooby. But I feel like that is one of the areas where they're like, ooh, what if the kids wake up and someone's been rummaging, someone's been like looking at them sleeping. Just very, very creepy. I'd give a limb to watch that.
Which limb? Choose now.
Any, they can choose for me.
Okay.
That's how bad I want to watch it.
Buyer's choice. One of Possum's limbs.
A possum limb.
A possum limb. We'll send you a little possum foot in mail. Happy Halloween, guys. Let's move on to talking about why we think this thing's great. Just generally why it's a chef's kiss piece of media. First of all, it's so good at like subverting expectations, and I think one of the main ways it does this that's most noticeable is through like all the meta humor, especially from Shaggy. Like, it literally starts off with Shaggy saying that line about how they should never split up again because it's a shitty idea, which yes it is, and I think anyone who's watched an episode of Scooby-Doo, people dunk on that constantly in horror movies, being like, all these horror movies, they always split up, and it makes no sense because yeah, it doesn't. And so I like that he's finally recognizing it.
And again, it kind of just goes hand in hand with Shaggy always getting the short end of the stick, because he's always left to just go with his dog. I mean, occasionally he goes with Velma, you know, again, there's a formula to all of the episodes and how they split up, and sometimes they stray away from that, but a lot of the times it is just like Shaggy go with the dog, and us three humans stick together. Good luck. Hope you make it out alive. Don't fail us.
They really screw him over a lot. This whole episode, like this whole video, is just a cry for help for Shaggy. It's a plea for sympathy. If you take nothing else away from this, take that, and maybe like throw us a like or something if you agree. But I think it's really cool because it's something that you don't normally see in Scooby-Doo, especially not like from around that time. And so it just kind of changes your mindset of how this episode's gonna go right off the bat. And I like it. I think that it keeps it funny and lighthearted, but like still scary, almost more scary because of this layer of self-awareness you now have for the characters, which is like uncomfortable to even think about, let alone like be faced with for 19 minutes. And I think that's also maybe just why the directors of the Blair Witch Project enjoyed it so much, because there were already a million parodies out of their movie at that point. But this one didn't feel like a hollow parody to just jump on the bandwagon and have something to put on for Halloween on Cartoon Network. It's like scary, it's funny, it's entertaining, and even being a parody, it's original because of all of this stuff that they put in that is like a twist on what they normally do, but not like a gimmicky twist. I think it's really good, and I can see why they liked it.
It is really good, and it's also a very good nostalgic throwback to how Cartoon Network used to really carefully craft their promotional work, because I don't know if you guys remember, but they would always be doing something really cool. Like, you'd always see something really cool in between commercials when you were watching Cartoon Network, if you ever did watch Cartoon Network, and it's just not the same anymore.
Yeah, I agree, and overall, I think to sum everything up, this was a really good adaptation of the Blair Witch Project, and it's a really good cartoon on its own, and they literally did not have to. It was essentially just a promo for one specific Halloween in the late 90s, but it's still being talked about to this day because it captured like the scary essence of the Blair Witch Project, but made it in their own way that hardly anyone else was doing super successfully at the time. And I love it. I love watching it. It brings me a lot of joy, and I hope it brought you a lot of joy. And I would love to hear any other thoughts you have about the Blair Witch Project below.
And to do it justice this Halloween season, if you have any little kids you take care of, any children of your own that you don't mind scaring, please show them this. Let us know what their reaction was, if any.
And if they're old enough to be primed by watching the Blair Witch Project first and they haven't seen it, would highly recommend. That's how I did it. 10 out of 10 was a great experience.
Or just send random clips of it to your friends.
Oh yeah, like
with no context.
Like in the order that they aired it, with just one promo clip at a time over the course of 24 hours, and then they have to piece it all together and then somehow go in and delete all those emails and be like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then like 20 years down the line, upload it on YouTube. That'll really get them. Yeah, to reflect a little here at the end, I think they need to do this more often. I love this big, crazy special that they did this one year, and I would love to be alive for another one. So if they like released one today or tomorrow next year, that'd be great. And I guess it would have to be for a modern show. So.
I agree, which, I don't know, I was gonna say that too. As much as I would love it, I think there was a specific window of time where this just was so perfect to air. You know, nowadays with streaming platforms, you're not gonna get something like this, which is very unfortunate. If someone did try to remake something like this, it just wouldn't have, you know, that old school grainy feel to it. You know, it was recorded through landline phones, and I don't know, there's just like that 90s feel to it. I mean, very late 90s, but it was still the 90s. You still had like that really good Cartoon Network horror with Courage the Cowardly Dog, Billy and Mandy, Scooby-Doo obviously, and there just hasn't been children's horror like that in a good while.
But I'd love to see some more.
I agree.
I have to admit, I have been out of touch with it for a few years now, as I am no longer a child. So if you know of any good children's horror that's still like airing right now, please tell me. I would love to see it and just like have a little bit of nostalgia and engage with a little bit more of that media, because in case you couldn't tell, we really love it. Oh, and also, if you somehow saw this, like the Scooby-Doo project, when it came out, for the love of God, please comment down below, because I need to know what it was like for you when you were watching it, even if it was just like a little snippet. It hasn't aired ever since, so if you were around and saw this in 1999, tell me what it was like, and I will just hang on your every word, please.
Yeah, even if you're just a kid, or if you were babysitting someone and watching it, you just stumbled across it, just let us know, because it is really one of our favorite pieces of media. I give it a 5 stars, unironically.
I give it a 1,773 stars.
Alright, always having to outdo me, but yep.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and for making it this far in the episode. And without further ado, it is now time for some channel updates. So it's been a while. First off, I just want to say that we missed you. I think about you guys all the time. I know we've been gone for a while, but it really doesn't seem that long to me, and I just have missed you guys every day. I'm sure Possum feels the same way.
Yeah, I've really missed creating content for this channel. There's a few things that we've scripted out, but we just really had to take a step back, reflect on what we wanted to do with the channel and how we wanted to proceed. And I think when we started the channel, we just did not have enough YouTube experience. We were brand new. We were very clueless, and so a lot of our time away was spent just being like, okay, how do we reframe and how do we make our channel better?
Yeah, I hope you guys know that we've tried to spend the last about year and a half that we've been away from YouTube improving and just trying to set a better vision for our channel than we had, because I mean, and I know a lot of you guys probably don't know this if you found our channel later on, but before we did any of the videos you've probably seen from us, we were like a Papa's Pizzeria channel, and we had a brief stint.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I still have those. And we had a brief stint as like a fan fiction reading channel. We'd find anonymous fics on like AO3 and just give them a good read with like some really good voice acting skills, and it was great. But we've changed and morphed a few different times just to figure out our place here on this platform. And for all the people that have stayed subscribed and that have stayed like watching our videos, commenting, it really means the entire world to us, because we are constantly just trying to improve for you guys, and just seeing you guys still stick around for that on this weird roller coaster that our channel has been means the entire world. So I know that the most frequently asked question we probably get right now is the channel back? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for that. We have, like Possum said, a lot of videos that we'd like to do, and that we even have some recorded, just not fully edited yet, but it's about finding the time and the money to keep this channel running. But we do just feel insanely lucky we even get this channel to like make videos for you guys, so I can tell you that we've been putting whatever free time we do have lately into finishing those up and having something to release for you guys, because something is better than nothing. So that's why you're getting this here today. But what I can tell you about our channel is that our videos are going to be different from now on. I know that change can be weird, but it can also be very exciting, and we're just looking at this as a very exciting time for our channel. We've had a lot of requests from you guys for a long time of different types of videos you'd like to see, and we've been listening to those and trying to take them into account when we're planning out what videos we're recording and editing right now. But we'd also be really open to hearing like what you guys want from us at this point, so if you have any other ideas or anything that you'd really like to see us do, please comment down below and we'd be happy to take it into account. One thing that's more similar to our old content but just different subject matter is some commentary videos we have coming up. So once we get around to finishing up the editing for those, expect to see something in a little bit more of a familiar style from us, and we're really hyped for you guys to see that. Another question that we get a lot is just what's been up? And lots of stuff, but the most notable is that we got married. We are now Mr. Frog and Mr. Possum. I'm not gonna give you our last name because I don't want to dox us, but you should tell us what our ship name should be in the comments, and then we will go to the courthouse and legally make that our last name. Just kidding, but...
Which, funny story about our wedding, all of our pictures came out black, so that was wonderful.
Our wedding pictures look like found footage.
They do.
They look bad.
And we took one picture of the actual photographer. That is the only clear picture that came out.
The photographer took one of the judge's head, and that one turned out really crisp, but you can't see us at all.
And while we were reading our vows, he was frantically shaking the Polaroid because we were stupid enough to use a Polaroid camera that we bought secondhand.
And had never used before.
But I couldn't have asked for anything better. It was a very cursed wedding. We are very cursed people.
We're living cryptids, and I loved every second of it. So yeah, we're married, and I think we've probably mentioned on the channel before, I know we've at least mentioned it in one or two videos that we were engaged, but if you didn't know we were together before this, surprise, I guess.
Yeah, surprise. We are a happily married couple. I've been very happy.
I've been extremely happy, and I love this guy, this old guy.
Oh, okay. I love you too.
That's what we got going on today. I hope that you guys let us know what you're dressed up as, because that's always my favorite part of Halloween. That and having an excuse to rewatch the Scooby-Doo project for the umpteenth time in a row. So please let me know in the comments what you are for Halloween, and I hope that you guys have a really awesome day. Celebrate with your loved ones or with your friends or with just a big bowl of candy all to yourself, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Bye.